Welcome, friend. You can close your eyes now. Take a breath. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. For the next hour, you have permission to simply rest. If you're here tonight, you may be carrying something heavy. Perhaps it's a hurt that won't heal, a loss that won't lift, a mistake you can't forgive. Maybe it's been weeks, maybe it's been years. You've tried to be strong, you've tried to move on, but the weight is still there. And tonight, lying here in the quiet, you might be wondering if this pain will ever mean anything, if it will ever end. Let me tell you something. You're not broken, you're not being punished, and you're not alone. What you're going through right now, countless others have walked this path before you, and many of them discovered something unexpected, something the Buddha understood 2,500 years ago. That suffering, when met with awareness, doesn't just wound us, it transforms us. Tonight, I want to share 5 signs with you. 5 subtle shifts that reveal your pain is already doing something profound, not breaking you down, breaking you open, refining you, reshaping you, turning your deepest hurt into your deepest wisdom. You might not see it yet. That's okay. But if you've been suffering for a while, these signs are likely already appearing in your life, like green shoots pushing through cracked concrete, like light finding its way through darkness. This isn't about toxic positivity. I'm not going to tell you that everything happens for a reason, or that you should be grateful for your pain. Your pain is real. Your struggle is valid. But here's what I've learned, and what the Buddha taught. Suffering has a structure, a pattern, even a purpose. Not because the universe is testing you, but because transformation requires friction. Growth requires breaking. The caterpillar must dissolve completely before it becomes a butterfly. You are in that dissolution right now, and you are becoming something you couldn't have become any other way. So tonight, let's explore this together, through ancient wisdom and modern understanding, through real stories of real people who found gold in their ashes, and through practices you can begin using tomorrow. But for now, just listen. Let your breathing slow. Let your body sink. You don't have to fix anything tonight. You don't have to be anywhere else. You're exactly where you need to be. Let's begin. Your mind is trying to protect you. It thinks if it can just figure out what went wrong, it can prevent it from happening again. If it can just make you feel bad enough, you'll be more careful next time. If it can just find the reason, the meaning, the lesson, then this pain will make sense. But here's the truth. Sometimes things fall apart, and it's not because you're unlovable. Sometimes you fail, and it's not because you're inadequate. Sometimes people leave, and it's not because you'll never be okay. Sometimes pain is just pain. The first arrow and the second arrow The story, the meaning, the identity you build around it, that's optional. Now, take a breath, because what I'm about to tell you might sound impossible right now. But stay with me. What if your suffering isn't trying to destroy you? What if it's trying to transform you? Not because pain is good. It's not. Not because you deserved it. You didn't. But because when everything you thought you knew gets shaken, when the life you built falls apart, when the person you were can no longer exist, something happens. Space opens up. Space for something new. The Buddha didn't teach suffering to make you feel worse. He taught it to set you free. Because when you understand the structure of suffering, when you see how your mind creates that second arrow, you can stop shooting it. And when you stop shooting it, something miraculous happens. The pain is still there, but you're no longer drowning in it. The loss is still real, but you're no longer defined by it. The wound is still tender, but it's becoming a teacher instead of a prison. Over the next hour, I'm going to share 5 signs with you. 5 ways to recognize that this transformation is already happening, that beneath your suffering, wisdom is growing, that the pain you've been carrying is quietly refining you into someone stronger, deeper, more compassionate than you've ever been. You might not believe me yet. That's okay. Just listen, because if you've been in pain for a while, I promise you, these signs are already there, waiting for you to notice them. Let's continue. About 2,500 years ago, in what is now Nepal, there lived a prince named Siddhartha. He had everything our culture tells us we need to be happy: wealth, status, pleasure, comfort, power, a palace with every luxury, servants attending to his every need, a beautiful wife, a newborn son. By every measure, his life was perfect. But he wasn't happy. Something was wrong. Something he couldn't name. He looked around and saw that everyone, rich and poor, powerful and powerless, was struggling. Sickness came for everyone. Bodies aged. Loved ones died. Nothing lasted. And even when things were good, there was this undercurrent of anxiety, this sense that it could all fall apart at any moment. Sound familiar? One night, Siddhartha made a choice that everyone thought was insane. He left the palace, left his wealth, left his family, not because he didn't love them, but because he couldn't ignore what he was seeing. That something about the way humans experience life creates suffering, and he needed to understand it. He studied with the greatest spiritual teachers of his time, practiced extreme meditation, pushed his body to the edge. He fasted until his ribs showed through his skin, until he could barely stand, thinking maybe if he punished the body enough, the mind would find peace. But it didn't work. The suffering was still there. Then one night, exhausted and nearly defeated, he sat down under a fig tree. And he made a different choice. He stopped fighting, stopped trying to force enlightenment, stopped trying to escape his own mind. He just sat and watched his thoughts come and go like clouds, watched his emotions rise and fall like waves, watched sensations appear and dissolve in his body. He didn't judge them, didn't push them away, didn't cling to them. He just observed. And in that deep watching, he saw something. Suffering doesn't come from life itself. It doesn't come from pain or loss or disappointment. It comes from how we relate to these experiences. He saw three fundamental truths about reality, three patterns that create suffering, and more importantly, he saw how understanding these patterns sets you free. The first truth he called dukkha. We translate it as suffering, but it means something more subtle. Unsatisfactoriness, a fundamental sense that something is off, like wearing shoes that don't quite fit, like a pebble in your sock that you can feel but can't remove. This isn't about big dramatic pain. It's about that constant low-level discomfort of being human. The restlessness, the wanting, the never quite arriving. You get the job, but now you want the promotion. You find love, but now you worry about losing it. You achieve the goal, but the satisfaction lasts maybe a day before the next goal appears. The Buddha saw that this isn't personal, it's structural. It's not happening because you're doing something wrong. It's happening because you're human. And being human means being caught between desire and fear. Always reaching for what you don't have. Always trying to hold on to what you do. The second truth is about impermanence. Everything changes. Always. Your body changes every moment. Cells dying and being born. Your thoughts change. 1 second you're calm, the next you're anxious. Your circumstances change. Nothing stays the same. Even your sense of who you are changes. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. Not even the same person you were yesterday. Suffering happens when we forget this. When we try to freeze the good moments. When we pretend the painful moments will last forever. When we build our identity on things that are always shifting. I am successful. I am loved. I am strong. And then life changes, and suddenly, who are you? The third truth is the most radical. The Buddha called it anatta, no fixed self. Now this doesn't mean you don't exist. You clearly do. You're here. You're listening. But that voice in your head saying, I am this, I am that, those are just thoughts. Stories you've been telling yourself for so long, they feel like facts. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'm unlovable. I'm broken. Or maybe I'm successful. I'm strong. I'm independent. I'm in control. All of these just stories. Patterns of thought your mind learned somewhere along the way. Maybe from your parents, maybe from society, maybe from one bad experience you generalized into a lifetime belief. And suffering happens when we defend these stories, when we build walls to protect them, when we need reality to confirm them. The story says, "I'm not good enough," so you look for evidence. You ignore the compliments and magnify the criticism. You sabotage success because it doesn't match the story. But here's what the Buddha realized under that tree. These three truths, they're not bad news. They're the beginning of freedom. Because if suffering comes from clinging to what changes, you can stop clinging. If suffering comes from resisting what is, you can stop resisting. If suffering comes from defending a story about yourself, you can see it's just a story. You don't have to believe every thought your mind produces. You don't have to be defined by your past. You don't have to carry your pain like an identity. The Buddha compared this process to refining gold. Raw gold is mixed with dirt, with impurities, with everything that's not gold. You can't use it in that state. It's not pure yet. So you put it in fire, intense, searing heat. And slowly, everything that's not gold burns away. The impurities rise to the surface and are skimmed off. What remains is pure gold, strong, valuable, beautiful. Your suffering is that fire. What's burning away isn't you. It's the false ideas about who you are, the stories that never served you, the identities you built to protect yourself but ended up imprisoning you. The breakup burns away your need for external validation. The failure burns away your attachment to a specific outcome. The loss burns away your illusion of control. What remains is something pure, something real, your essential self, not the story, not the role, not the image, just you, awake, present, free. Now you might be thinking, this sounds nice, but is it real? Can pain really transform us? Or is this just spiritual bypassing? Here's what's fascinating. Modern psychology is confirming what the Buddha taught. There's a field of research called post-traumatic growth. For decades, psychology focused only on post-traumatic stress, how trauma damages us, how it creates disorders. But in the 1990s, researchers started asking a different question. What about the people who don't just survive trauma, they actually grow from it? They studied thousands of people who went through severe hardship, cancer, divorce, loss of a child, natural disasters, war. And they found something remarkable. About 70% of people who experience trauma report positive changes in their lives afterward. Not despite the trauma, because of it. What kind of changes? Deeper, more authentic relationships. They stopped wasting time on shallow connections, started valuing the people who really matter. greater appreciation for life. The small things became sacred: a sunrise, a conversation, a moment of laughter. Things they used to rush past, they now savor. Increased personal strength. They discovered they could survive what they thought would destroy them. And that knowledge changed everything. If I can get through that, I can get through anything. And new life priorities. The old goals, the ones driven by ego or fear or other people's expectations, they fell away. What emerged was clearer, truer. What actually matters to me? What do I actually want? Not what I should want, what I want. But it gets even more interesting. Neuroscience shows that your brain physically changes through adversity. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. When you go through hardship and you don't run from it, when you actually face it, process it, learn from it, your brain rewires. New neural pathways form. The parts of your brain responsible for resilience, for emotional regulation, for empathy, they strengthen. Like a muscle that grows through resistance. This is called neuroplasticity, and it means transformation isn't just possible. It's how your brain is designed to work. You're not stuck. You're not broken beyond repair. You're in the middle of being rebuilt into something stronger. So the Buddha wasn't teaching empty philosophy. He was teaching practical neuroscience 2,500 years before we had the technology to prove it. He saw that suffering, when met with awareness rather than avoidance, becomes the vehicle for growth. Not because pain is good, but because consciousness can transform anything it touches. And this brings us back to you. Lying here tonight, carrying what you're carrying. What if your pain isn't random? What if it's precise? Burning away exactly what needs to go so that what's real can emerge. You are not being punished. You are being refined. Let me tell you about 3 people. 3 ordinary people who went through extraordinary pain and discovered something on the other side. The first is Elena. She's 42, lives in Portland, works in marketing, and 5 years ago, her 15-year marriage ended. It wasn't dramatic, no affair, no big betrayal. Just a slow realization that they'd become strangers living in the same house. 2 people who stopped growing together and started growing apart. When her husband finally said the words, "I think we should separate," Elena felt her entire world collapse. Not because she still loved him romantically, but because she didn't know who she was without him. She'd been a wife since she was 27. That identity shaped everything. Where she lived, how she spent her time, what she wanted or thought she wanted. Suddenly, she was alone in an apartment that felt too quiet, signing divorce papers, splitting furniture, explaining to friends. The shame was suffocating. Everyone else stays married. What's wrong with me? The first year was brutal. She cried in grocery stores, avoided couples, flinched when people asked how she was doing. Her therapist kept saying, "This is grief. Let yourself feel it." But Elena didn't want to feel it. She wanted to fix it, to rewind, to understand where it all went wrong. She made lists. All the moments she should have tried harder, should have been different. If I'd been more patient, more fun, more interesting, if I'd worked less, complained less, needed less, maybe he would have stayed. Her mind built an entire case against her. The evidence was overwhelming, guilty, of being insufficient, of failing at the one thing that was supposed to last forever. Then one afternoon, about 18 months in, her therapist asked a different question. "Elena, what are you learning about yourself?" It stopped her cold. Because she'd been so focused on what went wrong, she hadn't considered that anything could be going right, that this pain could be teaching her something. So she started journaling. Not about him, about her. And slowly, patterns emerged. Things she'd never let herself see. She realized she'd spent 15 years making herself smaller, agreeing when she wanted to disagree, saying yes when she meant no, apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She'd shaped herself around his needs, his moods, his vision of who she should be. And somewhere along the way, she'd forgotten who she actually was. What she liked, what she wanted, what felt true. That realization cracked something open. She started saying no to her mother's constant questions about dating again, to friends who wanted to set her up, to the voice in her head that said she should be over this by now. And something amazing happened. The world didn't end. People adjusted. Some got upset. She let them. Because for the first time in her adult life, she wasn't performing. Wasn't trying to be easy, convenient, pleasing. She was just being real. She started taking herself on dates. Movies she wanted to see, restaurants she'd always been curious about. She traveled alone to Iceland and hiked for 6 days without talking to anyone. She got a tattoo her ex-husband would have hated. She quit her stable job and freelanced for a year just to see if she could. And slowly, she fell in love. Not with another person, with herself, with the woman who'd been buried under years of compromise. Today, Eleanor is remarried, but not in the way she was before. This time, she knows who she is first. This time, she has boundaries. This time, when something doesn't feel right, she says so. She told me recently, my divorce was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and the best, because it forced me to meet myself, the real me, not the wife, not the role, just me. And I like her. Here's the first sign your suffering is transforming you. You're setting boundaries without guilt. You're learning to say no, to protect your energy, to honor what feels true. Not because you're selfish, but because you finally understand that betraying yourself to keep the peace isn't peace at all. It's slow erosion. If this resonates, if you're starting to speak up in ways you never could before, your pain is working. It's teaching you that your needs matter, that your voice matters, that you matter. Now let me tell you about Marcus. He's 39, San Francisco, former tech entrepreneur. And 3 years ago, his startup failed spectacularly. He'd spent 5 years building it. 80-hour weeks, sleeping at the office, living on coffee and adrenaline. He'd raised millions from investors, hired a team of 30, made it onto lists of companies to watch. And then the market shifted. Funding dried up. Revenue didn't grow fast enough. Within 6 months, it was over. Layoffs, lawsuits. His co-founder stopped speaking to him. He lost everything. His company, his savings, his reputation. The shame was paralyzing. He couldn't leave his apartment, couldn't face people. Everyone had believed in him, his family, his friends, his team, and he'd failed them all. His mind became a courtroom, reviewing every decision, every mistake. If I'd pivoted sooner, if I'd managed cash better, if I'd listened to that one advisor. The verdict was always the same: guilty of arrogance, of stupidity, of wasting everyone's time and money. He started having panic attacks, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. His doctor said, "You're depressed, here's a prescription." His therapist said, "You're grieving, this is normal." But Marcus didn't feel normal. He felt like a fraud who'd finally been exposed. One night, at his lowest point, he was scrolling through his phone at 3 a.m., torturing himself with LinkedIn posts of former competitors who'd succeeded. And his college roommate sent him a text. "Dude, I'm going to this meditation retreat. Come with me." Marcus almost said no. Meditation felt like another thing he'd be bad at, but he was so tired, so empty, so desperate for anything that might quiet his mind. So he went. 7 days of silence. No phones, no distractions, just sitting. The first 3 days were torture. His mind screamed, replayed every failure, every regret. He wanted to leave, but something kept him there. Maybe exhaustion, maybe curiosity, maybe just the absence of anywhere else to run. On the 4th day, the teacher said something during a talk. "You are not your thoughts." It sounds simple, obvious even, but Marcus had never considered it. He'd always believed his thoughts were facts. "I'm a failure. Everyone hates me. I'll never recover." Those felt as real as gravity. But the teacher said, thoughts are just mental events. They arise and pass. You can watch them like clouds passing through the sky. You don't have to climb into every cloud and live there. Something shifted. Marcus started noticing his thoughts instead of believing them. Oh, there's the "I'm worthless" thought again. There's the "everyone's laughing at me" thought. And when he stopped feeding them with attention, they started to lose power. They were still there, but they weren't him. He was the space in which they appeared. And that space was quiet, still, untouched by failure or success. When Marcus came home, he didn't immediately bounce back. He was still depressed, still broke, still ashamed. But something had changed in how he related to it all. He started volunteering at a community center, teaching coding to kids, not because it looked good on a resume, but because it felt good, present, real. He noticed he was laughing more at small things, a kid's joke, a perfect cup of coffee, a sunset he actually stopped to watch, things that used to be invisible because he was always racing toward the next milestone. His old ambition had been fueled by fear. Fear of not being enough, of being ordinary, of being forgotten. So he'd chased success like it would save him. But it hadn't. It had nearly destroyed him. Today, Marcus is a high school computer science teacher. He makes a tenth of what he used to make, drives a used car, lives in a small apartment, and he told me, "I'm wealthier than I've ever been." Because wealth isn't in my bank account anymore. It's in the moments I'm actually present for. It's in knowing that my worth isn't tied to my productivity. It's in being okay with being nobody special. The startup was my ego's dream. This life is my soul's truth. Here's the second sign. Material success matters less. Presence matters more. You're realizing that the things you thought would make you happy, the money, the status, the achievement, they're not the point. The point is being here, being real, being alive. If you're starting to care less about impressing people and more about savoring moments, your suffering is working. It's stripping away the false goals and revealing what actually nourishes you. One more story. This one is about Priya. She's 35, Denver, elementary school teacher, and 2 years ago, her father died suddenly. Heart attack, no warning. He was 62. They'd just spoken the week before. A normal conversation, nothing resolved, nothing said that needed saying. And then he was gone. Priya's relationship with her father had always been complicated. He was demanding, critical, impossible to please. She'd spent her childhood trying to earn his approval, straight A's, perfect behavior, never causing trouble. But it was never enough. He always found something to criticize, something that could have been better. As an adult, she'd kept her distance, called on holidays, visited twice a year, kept conversations surface level. She told herself she'd forgiven him, moved on, but really, she'd just built walls. When he died, those walls crumbled, and underneath was an ocean of unprocessed pain. She couldn't sleep. Every night, her mind replayed moments, all the times she'd wanted to say, "Why wasn't I enough for you?" All the times she'd wanted to hear, "I'm proud of you." The guilt was crushing. I should have tried harder. I should have visited more. I should have told him I loved him. Now it was too late. The words would never be said. The relationship would never be healed. Her grief turned into panic attacks. She'd be teaching and suddenly couldn't breathe. She'd be driving and have to pull over, sobbing. Her doctor prescribed anxiety medication. It barely helped. Then one afternoon, going through her father's belongings, she found something. A journal, leather-bound, his handwriting. She almost didn't read it. Part of her didn't want to know what he really thought, but curiosity won. And what she found stunned her. Page after page of his own struggles, his fears, his regrets, his feeling of inadequacy as a father. He wrote about his own father, who'd been even harder on him, about how he didn't know how to show affection, how to be soft, about how he criticized because he didn't know how else to show he cared. He wrote, "I see how I've hurt Priya. I don't know how to fix it. I want to tell her I'm proud, but the words stick in my throat. By the time I figure out how, it will probably be too late." Priya sat on the floor of his empty house and cried. Not the grief she'd been carrying, something different, a softer, deeper sadness. Because she realized her father hadn't been a villain. He'd been a wounded person, doing his best with tools that didn't work. He'd loved her in his broken way, and she'd loved him despite everything. Something released in her chest. The resentment she'd been holding for decades, the need for him to be different, to have been different. It loosened, softened, dissolved. She started writing letters to him, knowing he'd never read them, telling him everything she'd never said. "I forgive you. I understand now. I love you." And in forgiving him, she found she was also forgiving herself, for not being perfect, for keeping distance, for being human. A year later, Priya decided to have a child, something she'd been terrified of before. Because what if she failed as a parent the way her father had? What if she passed on the same wounds? But she realized, I'm not my father. And even he wasn't the monster I made him. He was a person, flawed, trying. And I can be that too, flawed, trying, and still worthy of love. She's pregnant now, due in the spring. And she told me my father's death taught me how to live, how to forgive, how to let go, how to love imperfectly. I'll tell my child about their grandfather, not the perfect version, not the villain version, the real version. And I'll tell them that love doesn't require perfection. It just requires presence. Here's the third sign. You're forgiving what you couldn't before. Not because the hurt wasn't real, but because you're realizing that holding onto it hurts you more than them. That forgiveness isn't about them deserving it. It's about you deserving peace. If you're finding that old resentments are loosening, if people who hurt you are becoming three-dimensional instead of flat villains, your suffering is working. It's teaching you that everyone is wounded, everyone is trying, and that includes you. 3 people, 3 kinds of pain. Eleanor, who learned to honor herself. Marcus, who learned what actually matters. Priya, who learned to forgive. And here's what they all share. None of them set out to transform. They didn't read a self-help book and decide to become better people. They suffered. And in that suffering, when they finally stopped resisting it, wisdom emerged. There are 2 more signs I want to share with you. Signs that appear when transformation deepens. The 4th sign is compassion, not just for others, for yourself. You notice you're being gentler with your mistakes. When you mess up, instead of that harsh voice that says you're an idiot, there's a softer voice that says you're learning. When you see someone else struggling, instead of judgment, there's recognition. I've been there. I know that pain. Suffering breaks down the walls between us and them, between deserving and undeserving. It shows you that we're all stumbling through this life, doing our best with what we know. And that realization is the birthplace of true compassion. The 5th sign is service. You find yourself wanting to help others through what hurt you. Not from a place of fixing or saving, but from a place of, I survived this. Maybe my experience can light the way for someone else. Elena now volunteers at a divorce support group. Marcus mentors young entrepreneurs, warning them about the traps he fell into. Priya is writing a book about complicated grief. Your pain stops being just your pain. It becomes medicine, wisdom, a bridge to others who are suffering. And in helping them, you complete your own healing. So here they are, the 5 signs. 1. You're setting boundaries without guilt. 2. Material success matters less. Presence matters more. 3. You're forgiving what seemed unforgivable. 4. You're more compassionate to yourself and others. 5. You're helping others through what hurt you. If even one of these is true for you right now, your suffering is working. It's not destroying you. It's refining you, burning away what's false so what's real can emerge. You are becoming who you needed to meet years ago. So you might be wondering, what do I actually do with all of this? How do I take ancient wisdom and three people's stories and turn them into something that helps me tomorrow morning when I wake up and the pain is still there? That's what we're going to talk about now. Not theory, not philosophy, practice. Simple, concrete tools you can use starting tomorrow. But before I share them, I need you to understand three principles. Because without these, the practices become just another thing you're failing at. And we're done with that story. Principle 1. Start embarrassingly small. You don't need to meditate for an hour. You don't need to go to a monastery. You don't need to completely overhaul your life. 5 minutes of real presence is worth more than an hour of distracted effort. 1 conscious breath is worth more than 1,000 unconscious ones. Our culture tells us more is better, harder is better, longer is better. But transformation doesn't work that way. Transformation happens in the small, repeated moments, the tiny choices that accumulate over time. So start small. So small it feels almost silly. So small you can't fail. And then do it consistently. That's where the magic is. Principle 2. Progress, not perfection. You will forget to practice. You'll skip days. You'll try and it won't feel like anything's happening. Your mind will wander. You'll get frustrated. You'll think you're doing it wrong. All of that is normal. All of that is part of the practice. Meditation is not about having a quiet mind. It's about noticing when your mind isn't quiet and gently bringing it back. That moment of noticing, that's the rep. That's the exercise. Every time you drift and return, you're strengthening your awareness. Every time you get frustrated and choose kindness anyway, you're rewiring your brain. There is no failure here, only practice. Principle 3. Compassion first, always. If you take nothing else from tonight, take this. Be kind to yourself. You've been through enough. You've been hard on yourself enough. These practices are not about controlling your mind. They're about befriending it. About learning to meet yourself with the same gentleness you'd offer a good friend who's hurting. About discovering that you don't have to earn your own love. You already have it. You've always had it. You just forgot. Okay, now let's practice. I'm going to teach you 3 techniques. Each one addresses a different kind of suffering. You don't need all 3. Just pick one, the one that speaks to you. The first practice is called RAIN. It's an acronym, a map for navigating difficult emotions when they arise. This is for those moments when you're triggered, when anxiety spikes, when anger flares, when shame floods in, when you feel like you're drowning and you need something to hold on to. R stands for recognize. The moment a difficult emotion shows up, pause, just for a second, and name it silently. This is anxiety. This is anger. This is shame. This is grief. You're not trying to fix it. You're not analyzing why it's here. You're just acknowledging its presence, like greeting someone who just walked into the room. Oh, hello, anxiety. There you are. This simple act of naming creates space. It puts a tiny bit of distance between you and the emotion. You're not the anxiety. You're the one noticing it. A stands for allow. This is the hardest part for most people, because every instinct in you wants to push the feeling away, to distract, to numb, to fix it immediately. But here, you're going to do something radical. You're going to let it be here. Say to yourself, it's okay to feel this. This feeling is allowed. I don't have to like it, but I can make space for it. This isn't resignation. It's not giving up. It's the opposite. It's having the courage to be with reality as it is, not as you wish it were. And here's what's miraculous. When you stop fighting an emotion, it starts to shift on its own. Not immediately, but eventually. Because emotions are designed to move. That's why we call them emotions. Energy in motion. They only get stuck when we resist them. I stands for investigate. Now you're going to get curious, not in your head, analyzing and storytelling, but in your body. Where is this emotion living? Is it a tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Heat in your face? Heaviness in your limbs? Just notice, like a scientist observing data. No judgment, no story, just sensation. And then gently ask, what does this feeling need? Not what does my mind think I need. What does the feeling itself need? Sometimes it needs to be heard. Sometimes it needs rest. Sometimes it just needs you to stay present with it. Listen, you might be surprised by what you hear. N stands for nurture. This is where you offer yourself compassion. Place a hand on your heart, or your belly, or anywhere that feels comforting, and speak to yourself the way you would to someone you deeply love who's in pain. I'm here. This is hard. You're not alone. Or you can use your own words, whatever feels authentic. The key is you're giving yourself what you're seeking. Neuroscience shows that self-compassion activates the same brain regions as receiving compassion from others. Your nervous system can't tell the difference. So you can give yourself what you need, right here, right now. You don't have to wait for someone else to do it. That's rain. Recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. Try it the next time you're triggered. It takes maybe 90 seconds. That's how long an emotion moves through your body if you don't feed it with story. 90 seconds to ride the wave instead of drowning in it. The second practice is simpler. It's called the breath anchor. This one is for sleep, for overwhelm, for when your mind won't stop spinning. Here's all you do. Notice your breath. You don't need to control it. Don't make it deeper or slower. Just feel it exactly as it is. The coolness as air enters your nostrils, the warmth as it leaves, the gentle rise of your belly on the inhale, the soft fall on the exhale. That's it. Just feel it. Your mind will wander, guaranteed. Within seconds, you'll be thinking about tomorrow's meeting, or yesterday's conversation, or what you need at the grocery store. When you notice this, and you will, don't judge yourself. Don't think, I'm bad at this. I can't even focus for 5 seconds. Just notice, oh, I'm thinking. And gently, like guiding a child by the hand, bring your attention back to the breath. This is the practice. Not having a quiet mind, returning again and again. Every return is a victory. Every return strengthens your capacity for presence. You're training your mind like you train a muscle. Here's why this works. Your breath is always in the present moment. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. So every time you feel your breath, you're here, now. And here, now, you're okay. Not your thoughts about here and now. Not your worries about what might happen. Just this moment, this breath. And in this moment, you're safe. Use this tonight as you fall asleep. Feel your breath. Let your thoughts drift like clouds. You don't need to fight them. Just keep coming back to the anchor. Eventually, your mind will quiet, your body will release, and you'll slip into sleep. The third practice is called loving kindness. In Pali, the Buddha's language, it's called metta. This one is for healing, for self-criticism, for when you're at war with yourself. Sit quietly. Close your eyes if you're comfortable, and silently repeat these phrases. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I live with ease. Say them slowly. Mean them. Let the words sink in. If it feels fake at first, that's okay. It probably will, because you've spent so long being your own worst critic, offering yourself kindness feels foreign. But you're planting seeds here, and seeds don't need to feel real to grow. They just need to be planted, watered, given time. Do this for yourself first. Always start with yourself. Because you can't give to others what you don't have. Then, when you're ready, when your heart feels soft and open, expand it. Think of someone you love, picture their face, and send them the same wishes. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. May you live with ease. Then, if you're feeling brave, think of someone you're struggling with, someone you're angry at, someone who hurt you. You don't have to forgive them. You don't have to like them. Just for a moment, recognize their humanity. They suffer too. They want to be happy too. They're trying to. And offer them the same phrases. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. May you live with ease. This isn't about them. It's about you. It's about releasing the poison of resentment that's been burning in your own heart. Studies show that just 7 minutes of loving kindness practice increases feelings of social connection and decreases self-criticism. 7 minutes. You're literally rewiring your brain for compassion. Changing the default setting from judgment to kindness, from harsh to gentle, from enemy to friend. So those are your 3 practices. Rain for difficult emotions. Breath anchor for overwhelm and sleep. Loving kindness for self-criticism and resentment. Now, you might be wondering, which one should I do? Here's my guidance. If you're anxious, if your nervous system is constantly activated, start with the breath anchor. It calms you down, regulates you, brings you back to your body. If you're beating yourself up, if that inner critic is loud, start with loving kindness. You need softness. You need to hear a kinder voice. If you're triggered often, if emotions hijack you, start with RAIN. It gives you a map, a way to navigate the storm instead of drowning in it. But honestly, the best practice is the one you'll actually do. So pick one, just one. Don't try to do all 3. Don't overcomplicate it. Set a reminder on your phone for tomorrow morning. 5 minutes, that's all. Do it every day for a week. Not because you have to, not because you're trying to fix yourself, but because you're worth 5 minutes of kindness. Then, at the end of the week, notice. How do you feel? What's different? Maybe nothing dramatic. Maybe just a little more space, a little more ease, a little less war inside your own head. That's enough. That's everything. Because transformation doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in 1,000 small ones. One breath at a time. One kind word at a time. one moment of awareness at a time. You're not trying to become someone else. You're remembering who you've always been beneath the pain, beneath the story, beneath the struggle. Whole, worthy, free. We've traveled far tonight. We started with your pain, the weight you've been carrying, the suffering that brought you here. And we explored something the Buddha understood long ago, that this weight, it's not permanent, it's not who you are. We learned about the second arrow, how most of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from the stories we tell about what happens. And we discovered that suffering, when met with awareness, becomes a teacher, a refining fire that burns away what's false and reveals what's real. We heard stories, Eleanor, who learned to honor herself, Marcus, who learned what actually matters, Priya, who learned to forgive. 3 ordinary people who walked through fire and came out transformed, not because they're special, but because they stopped running from their pain and started listening to it. And we talked about the 5 signs, the subtle ways your suffering is already transforming you. You're setting boundaries without guilt. You're finding that presence matters more than performance. You're forgiving what once seemed unforgivable. You're becoming more compassionate, and you're turning your pain into medicine for others. If even one of these resonates, your suffering is working. It's refining you, shaping you into someone you couldn't have become any other way. We practiced together. Rain for difficult emotions, breath anchor for overwhelm, loving kindness for healing. Simple tools, nothing complicated, just ways to meet yourself with more gentleness, to remember that you're not your thoughts, that you're not your pain. You're the awareness that holds it all, vast, spacious, unbroken. Here's what I hope you take with you into sleep tonight. Your suffering is not wasted. It's not random. It's not punishment. It's the raw material of wisdom. Every moment of pain you've endured is shaping you, teaching you, deepening you, preparing you for a life you can't yet see. You are not broken. You're breaking open, like a seed that must crack before it can grow, like a dawn that must pass through darkness, like gold that must endure fire to become pure. You are becoming, and becoming requires this: the falling apart, the not knowing, the surrender. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, I want to offer you a blessing. May you be held by the wisdom of all those who came before you, all the beings who suffered and learned and grew and became more. You are part of an ancient lineage of transformation. May you know deep in your bones that you are enough. Not when you fix yourself, not when you achieve something, not when someone finally sees your worth. Right now, exactly as you are, enough. May you forgive yourself for being human, for making mistakes, for not knowing, for hurting and being hurt, for all the ways you've been imperfect. You are allowed to be imperfect. You are allowed to still be learning. May you rest tonight without carrying tomorrow. The future is not here yet. You don't need to solve it, plan it, prepare for it. Just for tonight, let it go. May you wake tomorrow without dragging yesterday. What happened is finished. You can't change it. You can't fix it. But you can release it. Let it be what it was and nothing more. And may you remember this. Every breath is a fresh start. Every moment a new beginning. You get to choose again. Always. You are not trapped by your past. You are not limited by your pain. You are free to become. Now, feel your body. Really feel it. The weight of your head sinking into the pillow, the heaviness of your shoulders releasing into the bed. Let your jaw unclench. Let your tongue rest soft in your mouth. Let your eyes be heavy behind your lids. Notice your breath, how it moves in and out without any effort from you. Your body knows how to breathe. Your body knows how to rest. Your body knows how to heal. Trust it. Feel the surface beneath you holding you. You don't have to hold yourself together anymore. The earth has you. The night has you. You are safe. There's nothing left to do. No problem to solve. No thought to think. No story to tell. Just this. Breathing, being, resting. Let your mind be like the night sky. Thoughts may come like stars appearing, but you are the sky itself, vast, dark, peaceful. Let them twinkle if they want to. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to push them away. Just the sky, holding everything, disturbed by nothing. The suffering you carried here tonight, you can set it down now, just for these hours of sleep. It will be there in the morning if you need it. But for now, let it go. Feel yourself sinking deeper, softer, heavier. Your breath slowing, your heartbeat quieting, your mind settling like sediment in still water. You are exactly where you need to be. You have done enough. You are enough. Sleep now, dear friend. Let the night hold you. Let your dreams heal you. Let tomorrow take care of itself. You are safe. You are loved. You are free. Rest well.